Hi, welcome. So tonight we're gonna be sharing with you our thoughts on calling in your best. We started thinking and talking about what people go into the beginning of a new year thinking about and what their focus is. And so a lot of people talk about doing resolutions, and we thought that, we might talk about this in a much more bigger picture way and like thinking about this year and what you want to call in and how you can call in your best self. And so, anyways, that's what we're here to talk about. My name is Lori Triden, and my business is Authentically True You. So we'll be focusing a little on that too. And I'm here with Karen. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Karen and welcome, Vicky. Some people are popping into our Zoom room and we are recording this. So we're not on live stream for Facebook, but we are recording it for future. So we just got started and my name's Karen. I'm a family coach. My business is Surf in Your Soul. And I'm just so grateful to be here with Lori. We have been offering these conversations, getting us through the holidays and now starting the new year. And she and I are very excited as we are preparing for a really wonderful rest retreat in April, which we'll share more about. So yeah, maybe we want to. I'm just going to see since we had Vicky just join the room if she wants to say hi. And Vicky, you do not have to, but I'm just going to ask if you want to unmute and say hello. And by all means, wave us off if you would don't want to.
There we go. Well,
Hi.
I have three dogs here, so they may bark at any given time. But hello, Karen, good to see your beautiful face. Hi, Lori.
Hi,
I'm on the
welcome.
I'm on the circle as well, but I'll probably be quiet because I'm kind of filling out paperwork. I have surgery tomorrow,
Mm.
and yeah, so hoping to get a good night's sleep. But thanks for having this. And do you have others on or just me?
Right now it's you in the Zoom room, so some other people may pop on, but we're going
Okay,
to just
great.
proceed. And I'm just thank you for sharing with us that you are preparing your body for surgery, because our whole theme is really about rest and how do we rest our bodies and our systems. So I think it's very fitting when we each kind of talk about what we're going through and why rest is so important to support where we are in our life and what we're going through. So we're going to go ahead and yeah, we you can mute if you have background noise, and we're just going to start
Okay.
with a bit of a centering here.
Sounds good.
So I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that and take one or two breaths. And with each deep breath in and release, take a moment to honor yourself wherever you are. If you've shown up here in this hour with us, if you're watching the recording or the replay, just taking those few seconds. I always like to put my hands on my heart. It really settles the sensory system, slowing down the breath, and just taking a pause. So, tonight we're talking about calling in our best. So, thinking about for yourself, how do we become our best in the wake of our own personal lives? Something Lori and I have talked a lot about is there's so much unrest in our world right now. So having that awareness, inviting in spaciousness, gracefulness, self-love, gentleness, the pause, the slowing down. So I'm just going to take about 20, 30, 40 seconds in silence here and allow you to breathe, settle into your seat, and just feel that silence and grace and invite it into your body and into your soul and into your heart, and especially into our minds. And I just invite you to think a little bit about what does that feel like? Like sometimes for me, it does take being around another person or being invited by somebody else to pause and be silent. That was 60 seconds. I counted out. So did that feel long to you? Did that feel like it went by very fast? Did it feel like when is she going to start talking again? Like just noticing these things in our body. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And again, that simple reminder that sometimes when we can close our eyes, put our phone on silent, silence the noises around us for 60 seconds, our system can catch up for a moment, can take that extra breath, that extra rest, and then we can hear our intuition. We can get clarity in our mind about what might be the next best movement for us to call in our best for ourselves. So I'm going to hand it back over to Lori. Yet, just before I do, I really do want to emphasize again that Lori and I had a lot of conversations about this conversation today, January 20th, 2026, and really acknowledging how so many people in the world, because of the circumstances around them, there's a lot of fear. They might not even have, it might be a luxury or a privilege to call rest in to their home, to their environment, to their workplace. So we have that in our awareness. And as we're moving through tonight's conversation, we just are really honoring each and every person in the world who doesn't have the spaciousness, doesn't have the basic safety and support of community to rest.
Absolutely. Yeah, we wanted to acknowledge that. Um, and so, but also, I think not letting, if we do have the actual ability to take that time, not sort of letting all of the things that are going on in the world hold you back from it, right? So, both holding both of those things true, and not if you do have the ability to do it, then it isn't actually a luxury, right? It is something that you should do. And so, like holding those both to be true. So, I think Karen said it really well. We wanted to really honor what is happening in the world and acknowledge that as I was even, sort of putting out, Facebook posts or whatever, like I just wanted to not to seem frivolous what we were talking about here. We were talking about how, when you rest and when you center yourself and when you come back to the best version of yourself, you actually give your best version back to the world. And so we just think it's a really important topic right now, and really always. Um, and kind of in the bullet point too, it restores you to bring your energy, but also your clarity and your capacity to be in the world in whatever way, um, can help your life and help the people around you. So we want to think about, a little bit calling back to what I was talking about as this is January, it's the beginning of the year. What are people kind of thinking about? And a lot of times we go into it with these expectations of I'm going to do more. I'm going to strive for more. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to add to my to-do list of habits and all of these things. And what if instead we thought about receiving more, about being and receiving more, using this rest and time to figure out what it is we actually want to be calling in our life. So then we're calling in the best version of ourselves, the best version of our life, the best version of our health.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to follow up on one thing.
Yeah.
D- Um, the word receiving, it's so beautiful how like Lori framed it when, as we've been talking about this so much is like just that difference between what does it look like to receive, receive rest, to receive like instead of having to strive to maybe take care of my body today, like go out and exercise, what if I reframed it and just said, I'm just going to receive a connection with the earth by taking a walk today. So we have shared personally about what our own challenges are around resting. And another point that you made is like taking out that word. Well, it's true that there's privilege and luxury in these things. Yet what the study that Lori and I have done about rest and all of our connection we've been doing for the past 6 or 7 months as we've been, planning these courses and our retreat, coming up in a few months, we've really learned that's why it's like the way to be your truest self is that your body is in a homeostasis state. And in order for your body to be in a homeostasis state, it needs rest. And I think that's what you're going to keep going. You're going to lead into now a little more, Lori.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great lead in. And one of the things that I was speaking about when we were thinking about rest is like to examine what the things that you're doing right now that you think of as rest, and are they in fact giving you rest? And so one of the things that I have brought up a few times is just I kind of always thought rest was you hunker down on the couch and you put on a TV show and you binge watch it or something like that. Um, and then I would find that I would feel really guilty about that and bad and like, oh, I didn't get anything done. So I don't know that was really fostering real rest for me. So now I find that it's more about, finding time to meditate or finding time to listen to music or whatever. It's something different. I can do that. And sometimes that is restful, but it was kind of my go-to. And I don't know that it was restful because I didn't come out of it feeling better. I didn't come out of it feeling the best version of myself. So just taking a minute to really examine what is rest to you. And are you doing what is actually restorative? Or are you just doing something that's sitting still, right? Like rest could be doing a puzzle or, something, doing some knitting or something like that, where you're still maybe moving your body a little bit or, engaged a little bit in your brain, but it's almost a form of meditation in and of itself. And so I guess I just invite anybody watching this or thinking about it to really think about that. Like what actually, when you're done doing it, do you feel restored?
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
that restoration is the key. And I mean, Lori and I learned like from one another, like we have very different, like I'm very comfortable resting on the couch and watching a show or a movie or two or three movies. Like that fills me. Like that just makes my soul sing and I feel rested and rejuvenated and restored, And so it's really understanding our own selves And equally, if I'm getting too much in that space of like that kind of a, like, I would say technology, like a movie, watching a movie or watching a show, and I know that my brain really does need a break, like that's tiring me out, because we can all fall into these, I don't know what the word would be, but maybe these habits that really aren't restorative for us. So I can tell when I'm doing that, the difference between a true rest of, watching a couple movies versus like getting into a groove that's not as restorative. And then for me, laying out in the grass, just putting my feet in the ground or putting my body in water, preferably natural water, but if not, even just taking a bath, my body shifts immediately. So for me, those are some great examples of rest.
And then thinking about the sort of the flip side of that is like what are the things that are blocking rest? And I don't know that any of these would be totally shocking, except for even sort of, and part of this probably is my issue with the watching of the TV and that kind of thing. Like I do need no stimulation sometimes, just quiet. Funnily enough, I noticed yesterday my neighbor has a wind chime, and I normally love it, but it was busy or windy, sorry, and I was just kind of feeling overwhelmed, and I thought I'm gonna go outside and rip that thing down. Like it's just suddenly became this thing. Like, can I put a rubber band around it? Like, how can I make it stop? Like, and it's normally such a peaceful, lovely sound. And so sometimes for me, just I have to stop all the stimulation, right? Like just and so thinking about that, whatever that is for you. I know some people have sensory issues with the kinds of clothes they're wearing or um the temperature in the room or those kinds of things. We certainly all can have emotional overload. And sometimes, that it just depends on what season of your life you're in and the things that are happening around you. But are you processing those? Are you working through them or are we avoiding them? Then that becomes kind of a constant hum in the back of your mind that's keeping you from resting. We've talked a lot about saying yes to the right things and being comfortable saying no to the things that aren't right. And sometimes those can even be things like maybe, you love your friends, you always have a great time with them, you enjoy, but maybe no this time because it's just adding one more thing to your schedule that you're just not ready for right now. You can't take it on. And you know that you won't. Like everybody kind of rejuvenates differently. I definitely need time to myself. And so if I'm even just like over the holidays, this year was abnormal for me and I was out a lot and doing so much fun stuff, but it was too much at some point, right? So, and then just that habitual doing, do you have to be up tinkering in the kitchen all the time? Are you that, person you just cannot sit still? And is that good? Is part of that a meditative state for you, or is that a way to avoid the things that maybe you need to be kind of sitting with?
Yeah, so if you were with us the last couple of months, we did this aligned for the holidays, gut, mind, mood, and so you kind of even said that about your own holidays and when it gets out of balance and when you want to rest. And I think I've really been using this phrase like the weather report. So I recently lost a family member. My brother passed away a few weeks ago, and this has been a very new experience and journey for me to lose somebody so close. And so when you were talking about the wind chime, it really made me like think about what we're really offering here, Lori and I, is like we're sharing our own personal experiences. We're getting feedback from people who work with us. What are they looking for more in their life? And the consensus was rest and relaxation. So we, have been doing our research and conversations, and then we're coming together with these talks. And so for the wind chime example, like that's something maybe you normally enjoy and you love it, but then that day it just was really irritating you. And so we can sort of, it's like, when you're driving the car and the red light indicator goes on, you're low on oil, you're low on gas, or you're low on water. It's like we're encouraging people to be aware of these indicators that come up. And we're also noticing that if we incorporate rest into our daily lives, if we readjust how we're resting, then maybe those, you know, indicator lights, like maybe we stay more aligned more frequently. And there aren't the alarms aren't going off as frequently. We're not out of alignment as much. And there was one point on the last slide that you brought this up to me, and I hadn't heard it put in this way, and it really struck me was rest isn't like, let's not make rest be a reward. Rest is, it's like drinking water every day or taking the right vitamins for our body, the right nutrients for our body. Rest is so vital to our like it's equally important as breathing. And we, at least in our experience that we've shared, and in my experience of how I was raised and school systems, like it's a push. I was culturally conditioned that you push, 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 push. Um, and I mean, I will say, I mean, my dad has always had a slogan like work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, give back. He did talk about that a lot, but it's still like play hard, play hard. Like there's still sort of this push to it. Um, so I think that, we're really, what does block rest when we don't have our boundaries up? If we're habitually like we're doing, 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 and we realize, whoa, I don't even need to be doing this right now. But I'm just like, I forgot myself for a minute. So I forgot to just go sit down and do nothing. And that is like for me, the emotional overload I'm really noticing going through grief these last few weeks and processing with so many different people. And am I taking enough time for my own personal, you know, grief processing? And if not, then I get emotionally overloaded and then it just starts to spiral. Then I don't what I'm finding for me personally, when you were talking, it goes under the constant stimulation and what you talked about a few minutes ago. Then I want to get into that technology loop of like, oh, let me just put on a streaming channel and fall asleep to watching a show over and over, but not a show that makes me think, but a show that's going to let me just numb out and then keep putting it on and becoming reliant on that. And then we know what that's doing to our brain. And, but that's coming from being emotionally overloaded. So there's so many, sometimes we get all the things at once. We aren't putting the boundaries up. We're emotionally overloaded. There's so much stimulation and it leads to burnout.
And it's great that you bring up too, like they all feed on each other. They all, as it is, all things in life can be interwoven. One of the things too that it's been I've heard a lot brought up is just that we maybe even as humans right now aren't evolved enough. Like we weren't intended to have as much stimuli as we do right now in this our society. Just the level of information and access and stimuli at all times. I mean, I even just like the hum of the equipment around you, your refrigerator and everything. There is stimuli happening constantly. It's almost hard to get away from. And so there's even that aspect. And so again, it comes back to rest is even more important in that scenario, right? We think it's a this reward, but really it's even more of a need.
Yeah, it's really true, and how quickly we get addicted or attached or dependent on that constant. And I really value the silence. And so when I notice that, like, oh, the electricity went off or something, and you just can feel it's palpable. The silence is palpable, and it's so beautiful. So, and here we go. Like, it's going to lead right into like nervous system, safe rest.
Yes. So, and what can rest look like? And this, I guess, ties back into if you've given some thought of like what you're currently doing for rest. And it can look like different things at different times. Again, it doesn't always have to be going to bed or laying on the couch or stopping moving of any sort. I mean, you could be in a meditative state in a walk, like you said, like being outdoors. So rest doesn't, it can look like whatever restores you, whatever brings you back to that center. And so what but thinking about it in different ways and approaching it in different ways, and even like what's happening right now and what I can control. Maybe I can't mentally rest right now, but I can rest my digestive system a little bit. I can, think about setting some boundaries, emotional boundaries with the people in my life. Right. And so like, what are all the different ways? Like there's obviously they're on here. So there's different aspects of resting your body as well.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I mean, you're really I think the thing that it reminds me is that we keep this in the daily conversation and with the people that we care about and the people that we trust and our friends and we can just be like even taking a walk together. I remember I had a friend and we were doing a hike up to these hot springs and it was about a 4.5 mile hike and I was talking and I was sort of being tour guide and then she just said, would you mind if we walked silently for like the next 20 or 30 minutes? And I was like, sure. Like, I would love that. Like, I thought I was being like, I should entertain or host or show, point out all the sights. And it surprised me a little, but I was like, I've then done that myself, and just be like, oh, let's take this heading in, in silence together. And that's amazing how much rest that can invite into our system.
Yeah. So I love that. Just being open to all the different ways in which
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
find rest and restoration. And so we, threw up some ideas that we think about. We've hit on some of these, but is moving with music restful? Is using frequency, you know, sounds, is that restful to you? Obviously, time in nature. Um, and leading that rest time with some kind of ritual is a really great way to get your body to sort of automatically switch into a mode. So thinking about that as well. So making tea, it's warm, there's a process to it. And so as you're doing it, your body, we talk about this a lot in sleep too, right? There's like sleep hygiene. I mean, I think maybe we just call this like rest hygiene, right? So as we're making that cup of tea and we're getting the things and we're moving things around and we're sitting down, your body's like, oh, okay, I know what's happening now. This is when we're safe and I can calm my nervous system and switch into parasympathetic and I can take a deep breath, right? So what are the things that make you feel that? Floating in water, being near the ocean. I get to do that soon and I cannot wait because it's an immediate shift for me. So what are those things for you?
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about. Like Lori and I talk a lot. We're both parents, we're both mothers, and we're in a phase of life where our children are adults. And for me, it's going to sound maybe funny, but I mean, I went from, 30 years of the routine in the morning, working full time for a while. I was running my own home daycare. Then it was like going to an office, but before getting to the office, getting the kids out the door and all the things that come along with parenthood. And I mean, I had a short period of time where I was able to manage like getting up at 5, journaling quietly before other people woke up, and that was few and far between. So when my youngest child went to college, and then I was by myself for the first time ever, living alone. And then what does that look like to create these new routines? So, to Lori's point of like rest, the way we're talking about rest, there's all these variables. It isn't just like, oh, sit on the couch and rest or go to sleep and rest. But I actually shifted. I love coffee as many times as I've gone off of it and this and that. It's one of my most favorite rituals in the morning. And I take my time choosing my coffee mug because usually people have gifted me mugs. And so when I moved to New Mexico and was living by myself, I just made that morning coffee a ritual. And it really became a rest ritual in a sense, even though I was getting up and starting my day. So I would cook my coffee over the stove. I even found an old coffee grinder, an old fashioned one. And not that I always do that, but I really take a point to be like, this is a ritual and it's a restful way to begin my day. And then I get to go out on my deck and look at these beautiful mesas and views. And so just weaving rest into all aspects of our life. And for me, because trust me, and my kids will tell you stories, I was literally the one like running out the door, like, did you make a lunch? Grab a lunch. Like the amount of chaos I created, So when we can deepen the rituals of rest in our daily actions, it's very impactful.
And so we encourage you to take some time and think about, hopefully some of this has prompted ideas in your head, ideas that either you already do or, are thinking, oh, I just popped in my head. I think about that could work. And so some of them can't be done daily,
Yeah.
right? That might not be something that you have time for in your life. But you certainly we'd love to, encourage you to think about something you can do daily. Um, Something then maybe that's weekly. And so then maybe that's more of a weekend something, or, when you're off of work and then that's the longer activity. And then maybe you make some kind of, something with your friends where you get together and you do something that's again restorative, right? Like I don't know, I'll do a puzzle together, you knit together, you scrapbook. People do all sorts of things that, or maybe it's going for a walk or going for a hike. Again, it doesn't have to be sedentary. Um, but what are these things that really make you feel restored, and how often do you want to do them? And just even setting some of that in your mind and thinking about how often you think you can incorporate some of these things into your life.
Yeah, and Lori and I have challenged one another, and so we're putting the invitation out to others if it feels resonant for you and you're looking to bring more, weave more rest into your life. Just writing a few things down that it really makes a difference when we write things down. And what would be a few things on a daily basis you could do for rest? And then on a weekly basis, and then on a monthly basis. And like for me, that looks like what I explained to you with my coffee ritual in the morning, So that would be a daily for me. And then weekly would really just be walking, walking quietly without my phone in nature, would be an example. And probably, I was going to say monthly, but probably for me, when I'm home in New Mexico, I would say soaking in the hot mineral waters because I am in an area where there's so many hot springs. But that would definitely be a monthly, like has to happen every month. But honestly, once a week, soaking in the hot springs because it does so much to the body to help invite rest into my physical body, the muscles, all of it with the minerals that you're getting. So those are a few examples for me that I've written down, and I just continue to add to this exercise because I really like it, actually, the rhythms of rest and where do I want to bring that in and receive? Where do I want to receive rest in my life?
Yeah, and if you're like me and you live in a little colder climate, today was not a great day to be outside, but it's really funny. I don't know how much we've talked about. I absolutely have a coffee ritual, and I have the things that I put in my coffee, and I do a French press. So, yep, it
Hmm.
takes longer, and there's a whole thing. And when I can't do it, it's not, I definitely notice that my day has started off in a different tone. And I do love the caffeine and I do love the smell and all the things, right? So it is, even though it's waking me up, it is an absolute restful ritual just to kind of get myself in a certain place during the day. Um, Another thing I do try to do is like before bed, I just have a little habit of, thinking of things and sitting before I go to sleep. It's almost like, um, putting intentions out and that kind of thing. Um, Weekly up for me, like it's probably more like I'll take a bath if I'm really struggling and I can't get myself to center. And a lot of times right now it's very cold, and so that makes me very tense. Um, then getting warm to the core, like a really, really hot bath. And
Yeah.
then monthly, one of the things I've been doing is um, I'm lucky enough to be associated with the wellness spa, and she has a pod that has red light therapy and it has lymphatic vibration underneath you. And then it's also a sauna. So that's something, that I don't have time to fit in all that often, but I try to do it at least once a month, if not a couple times. So just some other ideas of things to do.
I like this monthly and just inviting, like a lot of times it'll be, financial. It's like, oh, I can't, pay to go to a sauna or the red light therapy and just really, there's a lot of wellness collectives. So if that's something that your body responds well to, acupuncture or sauna or red light therapy, check out your communities because in, New Mexico, there's a couple collectives for acupuncture and you can go and pay a few dollars. You can pay 30 more, whatever you want to pay. But so there's a lot of opportunities, and I believe that we're going to be seeing more and more of that in our communities, that we're here to take care of each other and support one another in these ways.
Yeah, love that. The other thing that I was kind of talking about a little bit, and one of the things I've really noticed on my journey of like getting back to authenticity is that the more and more I acknowledge who I am and what I'm feeling right now, or what I'm dealing with, or what my stress level is, or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, whatever that is, just acknowledging who I am and where I'm at. And not much of it has to be external, but owning that, understanding where I am and being true to myself. And this, kind of comes into that setting boundaries phase. Or, I mean, even sometimes if I'm just in a bad mood, I don't really know why. Like I'll just kind of tell the people around me, boy, I'm feeling short today. And so if any time it's just an acknowledgement. This is where I'm at right now. It makes my life so much easier. It is so much less work to be my authentic self, to own where I am and what my needs are right now. Nobody has to necessarily do anything about it. It's not about that, but it's just taking those masks off that we wear and trying to be what we think other people need us to be all the time. Those things are work, and they do tax our nervous system and cause all kinds of stress, right? Fight or flight responses. And so just the simple fact of just being who you are in the moment and owning whatever that is, in a hopefully respectful way to those around you, but um, that is a form of rest.
Yeah, I love how talk about like the authenticity creates ease and even like coming up with our rest retreat, like true rest, true you. And when we are being our true selves, it's again that homeostasis state in our body. Our body will tend to just be more at rest. And I know I had written something it came to me when we were talking about it, but when our body is at rest, we amplify the goodness because we can connect more to it. So we amplify, like when we're really at rest, we can feel ourselves, we can hear our intuition, we can feel the goodness. I mean, so, sometimes I just know being like going through this grief, like I can feel the heaviness and sadness of grief. And I can see how beautiful it is outside, but I can't feel it in the same way. And so that I understand clearly from, being in grief. Yet when we're just, pushing and pushing and pushing and our body isn't resting, that same thing can happen. We can be aware that there's beauty around us or that there's friends that want to connect, but we can't feel it. We can't quite access it because we're just so wound up. And and so that's why we just are inviting, what does it look like when I'm truly at rest? How does it feel? What do I feel when I'm resting? And when I ask this question to a few people, they're like, I have no idea because I don't rest. I can't sleep. I have children. I work full time, all the things, and I don't really rest. I don't, and I have people that just are convinced they don't even sleep. And it's like, well, they must be falling asleep, but they don't ever get a deep sleep because of the stage of life that they're in. So, so yeah, there's this opportunity to just we can take a few minutes now, and like Lori and I will we can write ours, Lori, and share them if we want. But I'm just taking like again that 60-second pause, 1 to 2 minutes, and just imagine. So it's two things. Either your body will know, your heart will know, like, wow, if I'm really resting, then I know that I'm sitting and sharing a bowl of popcorn with my children and we're laughing at a movie together. And there's no pressure. I don't have to go make dinner. I don't have to go do this. Or so whatever comes up for you, we're going to take a couple of minutes to just write out this. And it's like I call it the I am exercise. And when I am at rest, I and then whatever comes to you. So Lori, I'm going to invite you to do it. Before we start, I'm just gonna take like 30 seconds and just invite you to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and take a deep breath in and release. And imagine softness, silence, and slowness. Imagine being in a vast field of flowers and you see birds sitting in the trees, yet it's quiet. And it's a comforting quiet. It invokes safety, trust, excitement at the thought of nourishing yourself with beauty and joy that surrounds you. So I'll put my timer on and I'm just going to go about 1 to 2 minutes and invite you to write down, or if you feel better doing an audio recording, speak in. When I am truly at rest, I am feeling, and fill that in. When I am truly at rest, I see, and write down what comes to your mind's eye. And just allow it to flow. And you can write over, when I am truly at rest, I am, and write down whatever comes next. When I am truly at rest, I am. So I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about what I just wrote. And I just invite people to do this for yourselves, invite others to do it with you and to share with one another. So when I am at rest, I am soft, I am gentle, I am inviting. When I am at rest, I am calm, I am gracious, I am assured. When I am at rest, I am safe. I smile, I laugh, I am welcoming. I feel rest in my stillness, my silence, my smile. My body rests in the earth, on the soft green grass, in the ocean, and in the mineral waters.
It was lovely.
Do you
You're
want to
far
share?
more poetic. I'm happy to share. You're far more poetic than I am. Does yours was like a beautiful poem. I love it. Um, I just I wrote when I am truly at rest, I see joy all around me. I feel joy in a way that I seem to struggle with. I see beauty in little things, the light reflecting off of something, or the snow sparkling even where, when it's freezing, or yeah, just really little, a different color car that I've never seen before. I'm just really aware of the beauty. I can find humor in the things that don't go as I plan when I'm feeling rested and centered. Um, and it's such a great thing to be laughing at something that, maybe normally wouldn't elicit that response, but it's genuine. Um, and one of the things that you were kind of just talking about, but when I feel this sense of rest, and like this whole body system calm is when my daughters are with me, when they're both in the same place, we're together. There's just this sense of calm that I don't have otherwise. And I think for what it's worth, for people who are in a different stage of life, the littles and the chaos and the all the things, just know that that could come for you too. There'll be a point when just having them with you is such a calming thing, to know where they are, to know they're safe, to know they're having fun with you. And yeah.
Yeah, that's so, so true. I always remember my mom, who's 94 years old, she just said it's like whenever we'd all come home for something, she'd be like, it's so restful to know all my children are sleeping under the same roof, for that,
Yeah.
for her personality. And it's just, or my dad will just be like, seeing everyone doing what they love in life is restful and calm. And so there's just so many dynamics to it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks for leading that.
you are welcome.
And just, as we've talked about all of these different approaches, how can you keep it top of mind? I'm sure right now it sounds great, but yet how do we incorporate it? And there are so many different ways. We're just a couple of them that we talked about are visual cues. So what could those be? A multitude of things. One of the things that I did was create a different kind of a vision board for me. I wanted it to be very visually pleasing. It very much talks about love and joy and peace. And I noticed of the 10 pictures, 7 of them have water in them,
Mm.
right? And that is a calming piece for me. I really took a step back and realized there's a lot of rest elements in what I did in it. And it's just so funny because that's obviously what we've been focusing on. Um, we have all kinds of ways to set reminders for ourselves. How can you do that in a gentle way? Maybe it's putting a really soulful type of song on your phone when you use a reminder, but right, we don't want it to be a startling, jarring kind of reminder. back to kind of those anchoring rituals, thinking about, yeah, so we talk about this a lot in creating habits, but, if it's that when you brush your teeth, then you also, something that's really restful to you is to make sure you have a warm washcloth and then you're washing your face with that and taking a real moment with, your facial rituals that feels good, not just something you're slapping on quick. So just any kind of thing where you can tie a behavior that you already do all the time to a restful ritual. So thinking about that as a reminder, and then having spaces in your life that invite the calm, that lend you to do that. I made this little indoor garden in my living room that has a little tiny fountain. And it's a reminder all the time that, okay, let's light some candles and sit down and meditate for a little bit. That's part of why you built that. And it's just an ever present reminder that that was a priority to me.
That's so beautiful. And even I think allowing like remembering that sometimes even going and sitting in that space for 2 minutes and just breathing and being like, okay, I know today's really full and busy, and so I'm not going to sit for my 20-minute meditation, but taking 1 or 2 minutes even, it's phenomenal how much of a reset can happen in our body when we do that. And then also sometimes it really calls us back to, actually, I can do this a little later. I'm going to keep sitting here for a few more minutes. So it just reminds us and calls us back into ourselves.
I feel like a lot of these things we're talking about kind of harken back to the whole, a lot of times we think of this entering a new year and striving
Yeah.
and having all these goals. And it's just we're sort of flipping that on its head. We're a lot of these things we're talking about are something you could use to like create new habits and make yourself do things. Like I've always heard the expression, like just make yourself go to the gym for 5 minutes, right? And then you'll stay and you'll work out. We're saying just rest for 5 minutes and maybe you'll stay and rest a little longer, right? So.
Yeah, that's so great. I love it. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, if you enjoy time with us and you want to work with us in any deeper manner, you're welcome to reach out to either of us. We both have websites you can check out. We both provide services and work one-on-one or with families, as Karen does. And so we'd be happy to hear from you and talk about how we might support you.
Yeah, and just really keep that in mind, for even a short coaching call, wanting to reframe rest in your life. Both of us are available for that. And Lori and I are we have put together, and we're inviting 10 people. We have space for 10 people to this True Rest, True You retreat in Jemez Springs, New Mexico, which does also happen to be my hometown. And we've secured a beautiful location, and we have lots of good things in store. And we want to share this short video with you to end this call here, to end this our time together. So let me share this.
Welcome to a retreat designed not just for rest, but for remembering your worth. In the heart of Jemez, New Mexico, surrounded by ancient healing lands and whispering waters, you're invited to step away from the noise and into a sanctuary of softness. This is a space where rest is not earned, it's honored. Over 3 soul-nourishing days, you'll have time to find your rhythm. Walk beside the stream, float in the pool, nap in a hammock near the fountain. Meanwhile, we'll be incorporating light, wholesome meals that support your body and offering healing services and hot spring soaks that renew your spirit. You'll be gently guided through self-care rituals and interactive tutorials, simple practices that you can carry home and use regularly. And in open circles of learning, we'll ask, what does rest mean to you? What stories have shaped your relationship with it? And how can you reclaim it as a daily devotion? This retreat is for those who are ready to soften, to listen, to restore. It's for you. Come rest with us.
We hope you'll join us in April of 2026. Come to the sacredness of the valley, feel and hear the silence, and allow yourself to seep in the beauty of rest.
Every time we share this, I get so excited. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to go and rest.
Yeah, same. Absolutely same.
And Lori and I are so committed to like even weaving in our own personal rest throughout the rest retreat. So it's just really beautiful. And I love how, Lori, you just honoring rest, and that one line in there is just like honoring rest in our lives. And yeah, so we're inviting you to come and rest with us. And for those of you who are watching this at a later time, we thank you. We appreciate your time. And as Lori said, we're both here. You're welcome to reach out to us if there's any way that we can support you on your journey of rest and wellness and being your true authentic self, and what I call surfing your soul.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you, Karen.
Thank you.